What got you into real estate?
My dad. Yeah. He said, why don't you get your real estate license? And we had all, my mom, my dad, we'd all been in sales and full commission sales with Sears of all places. My parents are retired from Sears and Lipton.
The first sale.
Yes, the first sales. And it was straight commission. So I was already used to working on very, just 100% commission. If you don't make the sale, you don't get paid.
Don't need it.
So, but in between there, I went to college and then I had a couple babies and then I went to look for work.
Okay.
And my bachelor's degree is in the social sciences. Okay. So when I got out, I wanted to work in social change. So I go to my local nonprofit organization and apply, and quickly realized with their response, they would hire me, but I wouldn't be able to pay my own mortgage with that salary that they were offering. So I politely declined, and I thought, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So that's when my dad suggested getting my real estate license. He had considered it in his life, but had never done it. So I feel like it was like one of those things, So I went to my community college and took the one class that we had to take back then in California. And
how many hours is that?
I mean, it was one semester.
Okay.
One class.
3 or 4.
Real estate principles.
Yep.
Yeah, back in 2005. And I actually passed my test the first time around and went right to work. Went and interviewed with a couple different brokerages in town and ended up hanging my license with Coldwell Banker because I thought they had a really good training program. And I had recently purchased my own house through that same broker. And so.
And that was it. And there's history ever since, 17 years later.
Yeah.
So when you got into, and when you did it, and you said you had some sales background already.
Yeah, I sure.
So when you did it, what did you think? Did you think, well, this is going to be a breeze? Or did you think that this was going to be more challenging than your previous sales experience? Was that at Sears as well?
Yeah, that was Sears. I sold washers and dryers at Sears. And prior to that, I was in their furniture department when they had a furniture department. And both roles were straight commission.
I love it.
And I honestly didn't really think one way or another whether it would be difficult or whether it would be easy. What I thought was I could make a busload of money and be able to affect social change financially and through volunteer work and be able to provide for my family. So that was my goal. My
family was 2 children at that time.
2 and 1 older one from a previous marriage.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have 3. So how old were the children in 2005 when you're getting into the business?
In 2005, they were 1 and almost 3. Yeah. And then the older one was 13.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 1, 3, 13, you got a whole family.
Yeah.
And you're embarking on this new journey.
Yeah.
But it was the journey. It was just the only thing new about it was that it was just a different product or service.
Right.
You were selling your expertise in real estate before you were selling your expertise in washers, dryers, and then prior to that, selling expertise in furniture. So there was it probably was an easier transition for you than probably for most, I would think.
Yeah, maybe. What just came to mind as you were kind of, yes, the answer is yes. And what came to mind is when I was selling washers and dryers, no matter who came onto my sales floor, I would always take them to the very top of the line, washer and dryer, so that I could explain all of the features that were available. And then they could tell me what they didn't need. And then we would go down from there. Sometimes they would buy top of the line, bottom of the line, anywhere in between. Didn't really matter much to me, just so that they had their needs taken care of. And so I think that that care for people and me being able to produce options for them carried over to real estate. Because that's kind of what we do, right?
Right.
tell us everything. Please tell me everything that you want in a house, so that I know
your wish list.
Yes, exactly. We may not be able to get you everything, but if you tell me everything, I'll be able to get as many things as you desire and want and need in your home. And then on the sell side, on the listing side, same thing.
Right.
Tell me what your goals are, essentially, where you want to move, how soon, and how.
We'll do magic.
Exactly. Yeah. We'll prep the house, and that's the product, right?
So now, I'm going to come back to Sears in a second, but
sure.
The Santa Cruz, is that where are you born and raised there?
So I'm born and raised. I'm a Bay Area baby.
Okay.
So when yeah, what's that?
the Vallejo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yes, and so as a baby, so I was born in Santa Clara County, and as a baby we moved to Santa Cruz, in the mountains, and there's this little treacherous road called Highway 17 that goes from one to the other. So if you're in the Silicon Valley, Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area,
right,
you got to drive over the hill, we call it, over the hill to get to the beach. And if you're at the beach, you got to drive over the hill to get to the valley.
Okay.
So I've been on both sides of that hill all my life.
Okay. So still in the same general vicinity.
Yeah.
And born and raised and still living there now.
Yeah.
Obviously running a team. So we're going to bring back present in a second. But back to Sears. So Sears out of I guess headquarters Chicago.
Yeah.
Still at that time.
Same.
And and how long were you at Sears?
Oh gosh, I don't remember. Only a couple years. It was right before college.
Right. And you said your parents, did your dad work at Sears as well?
Yes, my dad. He was actually one of my dads. He was my stepdad. So if you think of sort of like rich dad, poor dad, I had two dads. One of them I learned and became a lot of I gleaned a lot of I am who I am because of my stepdad. That's what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
My biological dad, I got a little of him in me, but I spent more time with my stepfather, and neither one of them are with us anymore.
Oh.
But the real go-getter side of things came from my stepdad because he was in sales.
Yeah.
Right?
Sales.
And he was managing sales also. He was a store manager at one point, department manager, so.
Yeah, and when you said Sears, and said Sears was literally the first sales company. What a lot of people don't know is that back in the Sears was the first company to come out with a catalog.
Yeah.
And there was way back, the salespeople would go out into the areas because there was no way to transfer money, and they would collect the money, use the catalog, they would bring it back to Chicago, and then weeks later they would bring the product back.
Oh, you're kidding.
So this is way back.
Yeah.
That's so Sears was literally the very first national commerce company. So a lot of people.
I never studied the history on it. I do have a really, really old catalog at my house and sort of a newer one that I'm having a hard time getting rid of. And then you remember Lipton Tea?
Yep.
Of course. Okay, so my biological dad was retired from Lipton. So two huge companies, in my family's background. And I don't know, poorly.
Yeah, well, no, but it says, but to take as a young person, any person to go into a commission only job, now it's real estate, but people are scared to death.
Yeah.
To do that. So what was that like? Even going back to that take, was Sears your first commission only job?
Yes, it was my first commission only job. And while I was there, they were transitioning into putting people on, hourly or whatever they did. I don't know how they transitioned, but I remember years later talking to people who were still at Sears, and they said, yeah, gone are the days of the straight commission. We're now just
because
it's cheaper. Yeah.
Because I'm sure you did it and you were willing to do it because it was a handsome commission.
Yeah, it was. And what's interesting is beyond selling the white goods, the washers and the dryers and the furniture, whatever you were selling, Sears had another thing that was not tangible that we had to sell or that they wanted us to sell. And I was really good at selling that too. It was called a maintenance agreement. And it's basically what we might consider, akin to the home warranty or insurance. Yeah. You get it for 1 year, 2 year, or 3 year.
Yes. Seriously. I mean, people don't.
All those suckers.
Yeah. No.
And that was where they made their money.
Yeah. People, we could have a whole thing on Sears.